Can you all hear me?
Yes, Chair, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Lizette told me that my laptop time is a bit offish. So colleagues, let's continue with our meeting. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Matlodi Maseko, and I am the Standing Committee Chair for Infrastructure. Just for record purposes, and good morning, Minister. Minister's joined us today. I'm going to ask the members to introduce themselves, and after it will be Minister, HOD, and the department so that we can know who's in the house today. Over to you, members.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the Minister and the department and to the staff. My name is Mbulelo Isaac Silego. That's me, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, members. Like follow suit, like member Selegu, just switch on your camera so that the department can know you.
Good morning, Chair. Kayla Murray, member of the committee.
Is there any other member De Villiers? Are you with us? Because I definitely saw that you were around, but okay, as they come in, member Maran also is not in yet. So I'm hoping that they will join us as we continue. Minister, over to you, HOD and the department.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, my mic was off.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear, sir. You can continue.
Okay. Firstly, Madam Chair, good morning. For those of you that still don't know who perhaps I am, we haven't seen me in a while. Tertius Simmons, Provincial Minister of Infrastructure, and I will ask that our DDG of Human Settlements, but for today's purposes, she was the last HOD of Human Settlements, because given the period we're reflecting on was the last quarter of 2022-23, if she can just introduce herself and the team just to refresh the Standing Committee's memory as well, Madam Chair, before I do my introductory remarks. Labika, over to you.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, Chairperson and honourable members. So, Labika Skierman, and we have the management team from the former DHS in the meeting, both from the Implementation Chief Directorate and from the Planning Chief Directorate. Camilla August, the CD Planning, he has apologised due to a family bereavement, but all the other managers are present. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Labika. Now, Madam Chair and members of the Standing Committee, the fourth quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year was an extremely difficult period for the former Department of Human Settlements, which, as I alluded to, is now Branch Human Settlements in the Department of Infrastructure. For quarter four of 2022-2023, the department's performance accounts for 44 indicators in all four programs, and Labika will do a presentation and the team in that regard. Progress made in this regard shows that 25 indicators were fully achieved, Madam Chair, with 6 indicators being partially achieved for various reasons, and 14 indicators have not been achieved, once again for specific reasons which we will allude to. This performance needs to be also, Madam Chair, understood in the context of internal and indeed external factors impacting on our delivery capability as the now former Department of Human Settlements. During the fourth quarter of 2022-23 financial year, the former department was undergoing an internal restructuring process, or refresh, as it's commonly known, which was at its final stages during this quarter as well. This process has had its own dynamics, and indeed we did see an influx of resignations across all levels for various reasons in the now former Department of Human Settlements. And while this is currently being addressed in the new Department of Infrastructure, it provides context to the severe conditions that my team had to work under during the period under review. The targets for the MTF period, which I inherited, I need to say, we could only adjust it slightly in 2019, were based on previous delivery figures and sadly did not consider future internal and external factors that might affect delivery, such as COVID-19, land invasions, to name but two of the examples we've had to endure during our term thus far. These factors include the unexpected budget cuts as well from the national grants, increased invasions, we've seen that continuously even until this year, of our sites, and attempts to invade even some of our projects. But we've also seen the emergence in the prevalence of the construction mafia rearing its very ugly head in certain projects in the province, but more so in the city of Cape Town. And we've ultimately, Madam Chair, to spend millions on security to protect our assets and sites. Millions, I need to re-emphasize that we had to take from housing opportunities that we could have delivered in that same financial year. Madam Chair, at this juncture, I would therefore have to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt appreciation to Labika, who will now go down in history as the last HOD of Human Settlements Western Cape, each and every team member that is present here today, because not only did they need to punch above their weight during difficult periods since 2019, but more so during this quarter, but they've risen to the occasion, the proverbial boxer in the ring, so they can attest to taking the blows, but also needing to dish out blows when the time called for it. But as a final parting shot from my side, I would love to inform the Standing Committee that with all of this happening in this quarter, I am delighted to inform you, Honourable Chairperson, who will also go down as the last Chairperson of the Standing Committee of Human Settlements, that our department received yet again an unqualified audit, yes, with findings, which is a remarkable improvement on the previous financial years, which speaks to our commitment to clean and accountable governance. But above all, like I said, punching punches above our weight class and always coming out on top for the people of our province. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Colleagues, as you know that just the short synopsis like Minister have indicated, the last quarter, it was the Department of Human Settlements, not yet the Department of Infrastructure. So that is why the fourth quarter report that you got, it only talks to the human settlements. So from this, continuing, it will be the whole Department of the Infrastructure when we start with the first quarterly report of the department, and the new minister, Tesha Simas, is new because the department is new for that. So that will be the first report that we get, the first quarter under the infrastructure. So we are going to continue and hand over to the department to lead us with the presentation. But what is important maybe to the department and to Minister is the status quo remains. We will appreciate as we get the quarterly report that we get more info of what has been achieved, not the guru report. It has to be the detailed report. It helps us on the annual report that when we do the annual report, we don't have to dwell too much because we can trace the progress of the department with each and every quarterly report that they have been giving to us. So that it really, really assists the members to follow each and every processes or project or changes as they do their oversight. So let's continue in that fashion, and that will help when we do our oversight role, but more when we get to the annual reports. That saves a lot of time, and it makes sure that we engage thoroughly to make sure that we have an understanding of each and everything that is happening within the department. it is a new phenomena or a new dawn or a new portfolio to all of us. So a little bit, hold our hands to get all the programs, because when we looked at it as a standing committee, we saw that it's very, very bloated. And we have to make sure we do justice as we do our oversight to the department. So without wasting any time, members, let me hand over back to the department, and then we'll get if Ms. Goodman's going to lead us with their presentation. And after we'll do the questions. If there's anything, the system is still the same, nothing has changed. You raise your hand, you use your sign to make sure without any interjecting. And that is when I hand over to the department. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. While Benjamin Nkosi was previously responsible for strategy in DHS, and he will be taking us through the slides on Q4's performance. So while Benjamin is going to start to prepare to share the presentation, there's 2 points of emphasis I would like to make. First of all, to echo the Minister's sentiments, and under very difficult circumstances in the last 6 months, we have really increased the amount of engagements with the municipality that we have, and also the quality of engagements to close the gap between what is in the IDPs and what is in the National Business Plan. So I'm looking forward to presenting on 23-24 when the time comes, because there's a real tightening down of what is in the municipalities and focusing on delivery. Then in terms of the indicators, there's many of these indicators will not surface in the Department of Infrastructure in terms of the Human Settlement branch, because some of them will be on the bigger main platforms of support. But also we are undergoing a review process with the National Department. We start next week, in fact, in a detailed review process of the indicators that will inform our next 5 years of work. So having said that, I'm going to hand over to Benjamin Nkosi to flight his presentation, and then just take us briefly through the slides. And the last point, Chairperson, we do have all the background detail in terms of exactly what was achieved and the project sitting for under each of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just quick one, I've been told that Member Maran also have joined us. Member Maran, can you just switch on a camera to introduce yourself for record purpose? Okay.
Morning, Chair.
Okay.
Morning, Chairperson. Good mornings to everyone present.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Member. We can see you. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Over to you, Mr. Nkosi.
Chairperson, thank you very much, and good morning to colleagues. Good morning to Minister. Good morning to DDG HOD. I am going to be talking to the presentation. We're just flighting it now. If you can just give us a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
That we can give to you. Maybe when we are there, and I know HOD has joined also. We just a request, HOD, before Benjamin flex, I'll stop talking when he does that. We and Minister, HOD and Minister, we will request, Shumis will communicate with you to have a date after we have agreed with the members. To have a session where you can unpack the Department of Infrastructure to us, for us to be able to do justice also in an oversight, to have an understanding of all the programs that you are busy with, and looking at how I think the responsibility, the huge responsibility that you have in the infrastructure, and with the addition of your infrastructure and the rail, the infrastructure, energy, so it's huge. So we would want to have that workshop so that we can, I can say workshop or just the info that you are going to impart to us so that when we sort of do our preparations for the program for the year, doing an oversight, we align ourselves with what we want to achieve at the end of the financial year. So we'll appreciate if we can have that, and it will help the members because we are new, that are new in human settlements, and also we are new in this portfolio to go into in depth to the understanding of the portfolio itself. I hope that will be possible. Minister, I'm throwing it to you. So you can just make a commitment to us, someone know, and then Shamis will get the date.
Okay, Madam Chair, just quick, I see Benjamin is ready for the presentation. Indeed, Madam Chair, this is a massive portfolio. We cover a lot of area, we do a lot of good work, but I don't think we give justice and enough time to all of our programs and its massive successes. So indeed, I will draw up a top 5 list and send it through to you. And also when we do agree on a date to do a detailed presentation per branch, obviously human settlements we all know, but the rest does immensely good work under the leadership of HOD Gooch and the team. And we would love to share that successes and lessons as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shamis. That was a commitment. I hope you'll capture that. Mr. Ngosi, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. And once again, good morning to everyone. This is the presentation that will be speaking to the performance information for the former Department of Human Settlement. We've got 4 programs which constituted the performance areas. Program 1, which is administration, basically looking at processes within the department to help the department tick as an institution. In that particular program, Chair, we had 6 indicators, and all those indicators, except for indicator 1.2, they were reporting on quarterly basis. In terms of indicator 1.1, which is about invoices that we shall have paid within the 30 days period, we have achieved that even for the quarter. You will see the percentage that we have registered for the quarter, and that particular contribution for the quarter in terms of the year end, it gave us the figure that we have just indicated, that the 99.50%. So that's the overall, that's what's standing in the annual report. In terms of indicator 1.2, which is evaluation studies, we had a target of 3 for the year. And because of the processes that are involved, we targeted to report all 3 evaluations at the end of the year, which means quarter 4. Unfortunately, we couldn't be able to report all or be successful in achieving all the evaluation studies we have targeted. We achieved 1. 2 are outstanding, but work has been done already in terms of the 2. So in the new department, it will be a question of implementing that if management does take that forward. So in that regard, we only managed to conclude 1 study. It has been concluded. The report is available, and it was a study on us assessing whether the provision of housing opportunity does address the correct need of the beneficiary. We do have the report, and that report can be shared with the legislators if needed. In terms of enhancements on ICT systems, we had a target of 2, all delivered in quarter 4, because you follow a process up until you say the system is ready. We have achieved our target there. Similarly, in terms of the knowledge management projects, that's where we're doing a maturity assessment as a department to check whether the level of knowledge management in the department is hitting the right note. And that report is available. It can be shared should it be needed. Municipal engagements, we had set a target of 16 for the year, and in quarter 4 there was a target for 4, and that target was achieved. The contribution of that particular quarter into the year end, it's 18. And these are engagements where the department, where minister would have engaged with municipalities and other parties so as to ensure that the strategic direction of the department was well understood and conversed with the various role players. That has been achieved. In terms of implementing the business continuity plan, a plan that has been put together by the department to sort of prepare the department in terms of disasters. We identified some initiatives that we wanted to look at, including system testing, and those were done. For Q1, there was one particular activity that was planned, which was to test systems that we had, and those systems were tested, and we came out right out of those systems in terms of our tests. So if you were to look at Q1, Chairperson and members, except for the indicator on evaluation studies, all targets which were set for the quarter, all targets which were set for the year were achieved. If you look at the next slide, we're just amplifying the fact that we could not be able to achieve our desires in terms of the evaluation studies. But as I indicated, work is afoot in terms of the two other studies that were lagging behind. Moving on, Chair, to Program 2. Program 2 has 18 indicators in totality. If you look at indicator 2.1, where we're supposed to have approved the policy, we have indicated that in Q1, you see a dash there. The reason it's the policy has been approved. So the policy does exist. The snag with the policy is that by the time when the executing authority appended his signature, because we only say the policy, it's a policy that is approved when the minister shall have signed it. By the time it landed on his desk, it was outside the period of your financial year, because we're saying it should be approved by the 31st of March. It has been approved, but it was outside the 31st of March. When we engaged with auditors, the indication was that because the signature and the date is outside the reporting period, let's not reflect it as an achievement. But for purposes of being open to the committee here, the policy is there, the policy has been approved. That's why you see a dash. We're not saying a zero, but for the year end, because in the annual report, that's an audited information, will be reflecting the zero. Other than that, the other indicators, indicator 2.2, which is policy implementation guidelines, the target was a 2 for the fourth quarter, and that 2 has been achieved. Research reports was a 4 for the quarter. The quarter has been, that target has been achieved. The research reports are available. Again, for purposes of informing the members of the committee, we can make available those research reports as you engage the department around the areas of its performance. You can then be acquainted to the area which were dealt with, or focus areas of the research during the quarter. Part D of the annual report is your multi-year housing plan. That has been concluded because it's one of the planning instruments that goes with the business plan. It also has to be reported to National at a specific time. Normally, we conclude this process around the month of February, because it has to be forming part of those documents, as I said, planning instruments documents, which we need to submit for purposes of us demonstrating the areas that we'll be performing on. That has been achieved as well. The integrated implementation programs for the priority housing development areas, we had a target of 5 for the year, and that has been achieved. Q4's contribution into that was a conclusive achievement, which related to the year end. So in the annual report, as it stays there, it will be the 5 that has been indicated. Yes, it was concluded during Q4. In terms of number of approved human settlement projects contained in the IDP, you will see that Q3, the contribution of performance there, it's 3, and the year-end achievement is a 13. That means the other 10 human settlement projects were dealt with in the other previous quarter. So quarter 4 in isolation, as contribution to the whole performance of the year was that 3. And the 3 was the target, and that target was achieved. In terms of municipalities, which would have been provided with technical support, we identified 26 municipalities, all the local municipalities, including the metro, but we added the Garden Route district simply because we also wanted to pilot the support or the delivery model that we may want to use going forward. Then we added the district municipality in that fold, and all municipalities received a technical support of a different kind to one another, or in various forms. So all municipalities were assisted in one way or another in terms of technical support. Continuing with program 2, number of township establishment processes within priority housing development areas completed. We had a target of 5. Quarter 3 only gave us 3 as a performance, and that 3 became the total performance for the year. So there is a shortfall of 2, but the reason around that was because when you do these particular processes, you have to consult various stakeholders, and some objections were received in other areas. Highbury, to be specific, there were some objections, and for one to conclude that process, it takes quite a long time because you go through statutory processes, and they've got their own time limits and prolonged processes. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, we couldn't finalize the other 2 which were there. Therefore, there is a shortfall of 2, but the quarter contributed that 3 to the performance of the year. Again, percentage of land acquired during the 2014-2019 MTSF period, which should have been rezoned. We had a target of 45%, but at the end of the year, we did not achieve any. Reason being, the processes, this is one of the standardized indicators. So National had to indicate processes and the portfolio of evidence that they needed for purposes of reporting. That also on its own takes quite a long time, and at the end of the year, we're not able to indicate a movement around it. But I know the planning department, and with the land and asset management, rather not planning department, planning directorate with land and asset management, they have worked or they've done some work around here, and we should be able to see some movement because most of the hurdles have been crossed by now. Number of sustainable livelihood plans, again, we had a target of 5. For the quarter, there was no target. The 5 was achieved before quarter 4. So as it stands in your annual report, you will see a 5, and that 5 was achieved in the other previous 3 quarters in that scale. In terms of number of approved individual informal settlements upgrading plans, we had a target of 50. And this is one of the indicators, again, which was a new indicator. It came with the birth of the ISUPG, the grant that is dedicated to the upgrading of informal settlements. There were some indicators which were attached to that particular grant. In this regard, we had to be in consultation process with National to understand exactly the kind of information that needs to inform the plans and that needs to go into the plans. And those consultation process, because it was a new area, took some time. I think for the first quarter of the financial year, we were not able to come to any kind of understanding to say what is it that we need to put in there, because it's an indicator that came from National. In a way, technically, it becomes like a prescribed indicator technically. So we had to understand what exactly would or should be reported in that indicator. That kind of consultation and whatever it took some time. We're not able to reach our target of 50, but in terms of performance on Q4, we had that 11. The target was 10 for that particular quarter. We had 11. In totality, we've got 41 plans available, and they can be made available to members of the committee should it be needed. And yeah, we're simply saying because of the time it took for us to understand and get to full grasp of what is needed, we did not have sufficient time to conclude all that which we wanted to conclude for the year. So there is a shortfall of 9, but we did our best there. With regard to social compacts, the target was 5. Again, if you look at Q4, there is a 0. It's because there wasn't a target there. The performance was registered in the other previous quarters. So as it stands in your annual report, again, you will see that that target has been achieved, the year target. Similarly, the number of housing projects supported for approval, again, there was a 2 for the year as a target, and that 2 has been achieved. Q4, there wasn't any movement in terms of that. Still continuing with program 2, you will see the indicators that speaks to the submission of a social housing business plan. You see a straight line like it's a break even. It's because the target was also set for delivery in the 4th quarter, and that has been delivered. Therefore, the target has been achieved. Again, if you look at the Provincial Steering Committee engagements, a target of 4 was set for the year, and there was a target for 1 to be held in the 4th quarter that has been executed accordingly, and therefore the target has been achieved for the year if you look at the year-end results. In terms of number of capacitation workshops held with leader towns, these were spread around 2 quarters. It was Q2 and Q4. In Q4, there was a target of 4, and that has been achieved, contributing to the total achievement of the target at the end of the year in terms of what has been set as a target for the financial year. If you're looking at the banking forums, again, which were supposed to be held, the department facilitating, that target has been achieved again. Performance in this regard was spread around 2 targets, so it was like a 6 months target. In Q2, there was a target. In Q4, there was a target, and the target has been achieved, bringing a complete achievement of the set target for the year. Partnerships. The 2 that has been registered in Q4 is the 2 that stands as year end. The reason for this, Chair and members of the committee, it's that part of the partners which were earmarked for partnering, or institutions which we had earmarked for partnering, included the banks. But at some point, the banks then engaged the department to say they would want to go into the partnership with the department, not as individual banks, but as a collective represented by BASA. And that on its own impacted on our delivery as we had planned quite early in the financial year. That is why there is that shortfall of 4, because of that kind of state of affairs that I just indicated now. Now, if you look overall in terms of program 2, the program has achieved most of its targets, like I indicated, except for the percentage of land acquired during the 2014-2019 MTSF period, where we have registered the 0. But as I indicated, work is ahead. We will be able to speak a different situation as we go forward. Switching over to program 3, Chair. Program 3 has got a number of indicators again on it. You will see indicator 3.1, which speaks to the non-credit linked. Quarter four's contribution to the total there was an achievement. The target which was set for quarter four was 50, if I'm not mistaken. But that has made us achieve the target, overachieve the target. And again, yeah, it is an indicator that we have been able to provide some good performance on it. In terms of indicator 3.2, if you look at the contribution of quarter four, again, in this regard, if you look at the year end, given what quarter four has contributed to the performance of the year, we have underachieved. Reason being that applications were not forthcoming like thick and fast. And our understanding is that the economic situation might have affected this. Affordability levels became an issue, and the increasing rates became an issue, and that might have just slowed the interest of potential beneficiaries taking advantage of this market or taking advantage of this opportunity. The year end kind of performance was a bit under. In terms of indicator 3.4, I need to indicate up front here, Chair, that out of the standardization process, we had to rejig our indicators and in a way collapse certain indicators into one. If you look at this particular indicator, number of breaking new grounds, we had to collapse the indicators in the APP. If you have the APP, you will see there would have been an indicator that speaks to units from the IRDP instruments and units from the PHP instruments. Those particular indicators had to be collapsed into one. That's why you don't see indicator, you won't see indicator 3.5, you won't see indicator 3.8. So the indicators which were speaking to units were collapsed into one. And the contribution of those indicators in the fourth quarter resulted in that 1,530, and that's effect into the total delivery of the year, giving us a 3,672. Again, this is where Minister in his opening remarks indicated the difficult circumstances which we had to navigate through, where you had some threats around your project sites, where you had projects not moving for a number of reasons. Yes, there were some initiatives to ensure that we do move with speed. However, you will find that the challenges and the dynamics that prevails in those circumstances at some point does trip you. And the year-end achievement, it's an underachievement. But for those reasons that were indicated in the introductory remarks by the Minister and the DDG. Indicator 3.4 similarly, which is service sites. Again, for same reasons, we have not been able to crack it in terms of what has been set for the annual target. The contribution for quarter four was at 334, which if you add it to the other quarters, then it takes you to the 1,230 in terms of contribution. I indicated, Chair, that you won't see indicator 3.5 because it's one of those indicators which would have been collapsed into 3.3 or 3.4. So the instruments which we're speaking about when it comes to service sites, your UISP and your IRDP have now been collapsed into one indicator, which is just service site, without mentioning the instruments. The instruments which were giving us delivery on houses, which was IRDP and PHP, have been collapsed into one indicator, which is now breaking new grounds, meaning those houses, you just report them as a global kind of an indicator. In terms of number of informal settlements upgraded to a phase 3, we had set ourselves a target of 6, but again, challenges which in a way mirrors the ones that we just spoke about, where you will have some difficulties and You won't have, a smooth cooperation from the colleagues in the informal, the residents in the informal settlement, and all those things tripped us. We were only able to fully take one informal settlement to a phase 3 against a target of 6, and that was done in Kota4, and that will be School Khasar informal settlement. That's the only one that we're able to conclude properly. In terms of informal settlements provided with interim engineering services, we had a target of 44 again here, Chair, but only one was assisted. That will be your Kaelicha Intlen Williams. In this regard, it doesn't mean that the informal settlements do not have the engineering services, but municipalities might have chose to use their own funding. Now that municipalities would have used their own money without applying for assistance from the department, wouldn't be reporting on that because it will be municipalities' own funds. So it is this only one instance where we had an application from a municipality duly processed and that being implemented. That is why you see the shortfall of 43, but it is because municipalities did not make applications to the department. And I take it's because they understand that the provision of basic services is their area of operation, and they did that as part of their functions, I suppose. With regards to the percentage of human settlement development grant paid to contractors in all targeted groups, we have a target of 50. We surpassed that target once again. We're standing at 66.39%. The same with the portion that it's biased to contractors with women representation. Our target there is 10. We're standing at 15.96%. And the same applies to contractors with youth representation, our target being a 4, and we're standing at a 13.29%. And these are audited figures. They stand portfolio of evidence provided and everything proving towards the positive. It is a remarkable achievement, and it demonstrates the commitment, as Minister would have indicated in his budget speech, to say his budget is for hope and for empowerment. That's the empowerment areas which we're priding ourselves with. In terms of job opportunities facilitated, Q4, we delivered 182. The contribution to that quarter took us to the 1,111 in total at year end, which is an achievement above what we have set ourselves. Young people trained again in Q4, 53 entrants had to be dealt with. And if you take that and build it to the other previous quarters, then it takes us to the year-end figure of 274. Again, like I was just indicating to say, on those empowerment areas, we have been able to sustain our overperformance over a period of time. Continuing with program 3, my apologies. The percentage of investment of the total human settlement allocation in PHDAs, we set ourselves a target of 62% at the end of the year. Again, we achieved that. All what we did related to the 62% investment being dealt with in that area. If you look at the next indicator, which speaks to sustainable building technologies, Q4 gave us the 363, and there is a shortfall if you look at it. But it doesn't mean that we have not been able to explore sustainable technologies. The unfortunate situation here is that we, in our APP, and when you look at the description of the APP, we said we would want to confine ourselves to an EDGE certification. So that's a certification that was also going to be saying these units, whatever the initiatives are in these units, are really sustainable building technology inclined. We have other ways of certification for sustainable building technologies. In this regard, the shortfall it's around the ones that we were targeting the edge. But if you were to say, has the department explored sustainable building technologies in various kinds, and what form of certification you have used, you will find that the figures are quite pleasing. In terms of number of beneficiaries who benefited through the enhanced extended discount benefit scheme, the contribution of Q4 to the total journey for the year took us to the 1,198. It is an indicator that we have been able to perform above targets in this regard. Going forward, if you look at the overall comments in relation to Program 3, Chairperson and members of the committee, which has uplifted or amplified the challenges which the department experienced during the execution period. And it is those issues which the DDG spoke about. It is issues around extortion. It is issues around poor performance by contractors. It is issues around communities within informal settlement, not necessarily giving us the kind of cooperation we would have loved. And those kind of challenges resulted in us, Chair, experiencing some underachievement of some sort. Going forward, Chair, to Program 4, which is the last program, we've got an indicator there which speaks about rental units devolved to municipality. We have registered a 0 at the end of the financial year, at the time wherein we're concluding processes of us reporting on these indicators. There wasn't a movement. There was a bit of a stalemate between the department and the municipality, Stellenbosch municipality, if I'm correct, wherein the department made an offer and the municipality did not accept the offer at that point. At the time of reporting, the indicator was not achieved, but I have been reliably informed to say that hurdle has been crossed. Negotiations were held or discussions were held. There was subsequent agreement between the department and the municipality, and the units, the 32 units, have been devolved accordingly. However, that kind of progress came after we had concluded our reporting processes, because in the annual report, it will be showing that kind of a 0. But as it stands, the activity has been successfully concluded, and this particular indicator, it's not going to be part of the indicators of the current financial year. So it's business that has been concluded, though outside the reporting period. Indicator 4.2, which is your pre-1994 title deeds. The contribution of Q4 into the achievement at the end of the year took us to that 331. In this regard, we were able, Chair, as a department, to deal with those cases which were seen to be difficult cases, and they involved the services of your state attorneys to come on board to assist the department to move. With regard to the title deeds registered for the pre-2014 development, you will see that the overall performance, it's under what we would have targeted for the year. Even the performance in Q4, it's under what we have targeted for Q4. But again, here it's issues which relates to capacities within the department, capacities in the municipalities, because municipalities also become players in the process of us dealing with title deeds. they do not necessarily have all that it takes or all that which you need to have as an institution to propel a function of this nature. Somewhere we have to also, with our own shortcomings as well as a department, assist where we needed to assist, and that resulted in the other performance. And the same permeates through the other categories of the title deeds, your post 2014 and your post 2019 indicators. Same situation, because you follow the same process to deal with those kind of title deeds. And if you're facing same challenges, it results into the same situation. Difficulties that we acknowledging. I know the colleagues within the Directorate Land and Asset Management are working around the clock to put up processes to beef up their capacity, to bring in resources just to turn the tide against this title deed. It has been a challenge. We accept, Chair, and we acknowledge it has been a challenge, but it's a challenge that we are aware of, and it's a challenge that we are equal to. We're trying our best. We hope that with the kind of initiatives that we have brought and we are embarking on, we should be able to see a turn. We should be able to turn the corner in this regard. We just indicated as overall comments again that we did not achieve the indicator around the devolution, but as I indicated, the matter has since been concluded. The underachievement, again, like I indicated, for the title deeds, it's mainly caused by capacity challenges in both the department and municipalities. Those are the comments for the program. I need to indicate to the committee chair through you that the three programs except program 1, administration, were scoped in for audit. So the figures that we're giving are the figures that would have been audited. I thank you, Chair. That's my story. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nkosi, thank you very much. And I think through your indulgence from the department and with our colleagues in the department and minister, bear with us, because most of the members in this committee are, if not all, excluding me, are the members that are new to this portfolio, and let alone to human settlements. So some of the questions, you are going to bear with us for them to really ask those questions to have an understanding, because it's new information to them. As you know, we haven't interacted directly with the department. We've been engaging with the municipalities, so it's the first time that they will have an opportunity to really engage with the department. So members, that being said, I'm going to allow you to ask the questions. If you can indicate with your hands. I don't see any hand. Is it the problem with my laptop? Member Seleku.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, Chair, thank you very much for an opportunity, and also to the department for the presentation. Chair, like you have alluded to the fact that I'm still in the box, I'm brand new. And in terms of when you are new, you don't usually ask questions, you just listen, and you allow members that have been there before you to ask the questions so that you can learn. But I will attempt to fulfill my responsibility as a member of the committee in terms of questions of clarity. Firstly, Chair, what I would have appreciated maybe was to just get an understanding in terms of how, when we deal with the last quarter, that maybe would have an indication as to in the previous financial year, how each and every program has performed in that particular quarter. that will give you an indication as to whether you are regressing in one of the indicators or not. Because when you don't get that information, you will end up hitting, people, but or you don't have the background in terms of how they performed, at this time last year. So that, because conditions changes, and like when the minister was making his opening remarks, I was not surprised to see in terms of the housing of human settlement development, most of the indicators they have not been achieved, and mostly it's not entirely dependent on the department, but some has to do with municipalities. And now for me, it's difficult to engage and ask questions when one says that municipalities don't apply, especially when it comes to the informal settlements, when for interim services, they don't apply, and hence the department does not achieve that. So what I just want to know, like, we must be able to detect when we are not going to meet a target, maybe from the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, and then we can devise plans that we as a department can try to assist so that we meet our targets, because it's not acceptable when we don't meet a target as a department that we say, services, that is a function of the municipality. They are not coming to the fore, and now we are not going to achieve our target. That is something that we need to work on going forward, Chair. Also, Chair, in terms of the upgrading of let's just deal with all the issues that must be done, or maybe the municipalities must actually take the lead. I get a sense that there is no synergy between the department and the municipalities, especially when it comes to the submission of their business plans. Do their business plan speak to what the department wants to achieve in terms of their targets? So Chair, and for me, basically, Chair, it's just I take note of what has been presented here, and I would just want to check, maybe in the near future, whether we are actually making progress in terms of trying to link and to bring this synergy, because it can never be the department on its own. It has to be on with the municipality. Because if the municipalities don't come to the party, and then if they are planning on the municipal level, it's not speaking to what the department wants to achieve in terms of human settlements, in terms of the upgrading of informal settlements, then we will sit with the same situation year in and year out. So somewhere, somehow, Chair, we need to speak to these municipalities, and also the issue of capacity. One will also be cognizant to the fact that some of the municipalities, you'll find they don't have capacity. And then if they don't have capacity and they don't address capacity, and then they don't appoint the correct people, I'm telling you, Chair, we won't be able to achieve our targets, because the implementation of these human settlement projects happens on the ground. And then if the municipalities don't take ownership of their projects, and in terms of their databases, in terms of the people that are waiting for housing opportunities, we are going to be sitting, because it's not acceptable for us not to be able to achieve. When we say we wanted to achieve 6,200 BNG, and then we're not even at 60% in terms of our achievement, this is something of concern. I think we need to revise a plan in terms of our role as the Standing Committee of Infrastructure. What is our role in terms of making sure that the municipalities also contribute to the department being able to achieve its targets? Chair, that's all from my side. It's mostly comments and not questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Member. I recognize Member Maran.
Thanks, Chair. And again, good mornings to everyone. Chair, let me start, Chair, speaking to the template itself, because the template to me is a bit problematic. I think last time when we've dealt with a quarterly report of agriculture and dealing with specific issues and asking about the template itself, we were then told it's a national template. Why I'm raising it because this specific template speaks about the annual target, and then it speaks about the actual delivery in Q4 and then year end. It doesn't give you, Chair, a target for the quarter. It doesn't give you a target for the quarter, and out of that specific target, we have achieved so much. All that you are seeing is the annual target. All that you are seeing is a target achieved in Q4 and then the yearly performance. We don't see a target for Q4, Chair, because I've asked myself, okay, you have achieved 363 out of how many for the quarter? It is not there. You can't measure, Chair. Secondly, Chair, I think we have dropped the ball when it comes to key issues. And people out there will judge you on service delivery. Philips, for instance, and we are now told that, but it's because of the applications that we have received from municipalities. Only 367 out of 2,000. It's just over 10 per municipality, Chair. Just over 10 per municipality in this province. If you look at BNG, breaking new ground, the target already is low. And we have only achieved 3,672 out of that 6,213. Service sites, the annual target of 747. The annual achievement is 1,330, Chair. And then we can go, Chair, and look, for instance, in informal settlements upgrades. The annual target of 6. And then only 1 that has been achieved for the year. And that specific target has been achieved in Q4, Chair. Have we set targets in Q1? Have we set a target in Q2? Have we set a target in Q3 that we have not achieved, but only achieved one? That's one target in Q4. Then, Chair, program 3, rental units devolved to municipalities. And if I listen to the presenter, it seems that the 32, the 32 only came from one municipality, which is Stellenbosch. And he said now that although they have not achieved it within the specific time frame, it has now been achieved afterwards. I want to know, don't we have rental units in other municipalities where we basically plan to devolve it to those municipalities, or is it only Stellenbosch, Chair? Then lastly, Chair, the title deeds. And we have spoken a lot about title deeds. And if you look, for instance, at the targets, program 4.3, pre-2014, an annual target of 4,500. We have only achieved 84 in Q4, Chair. Does it mean that because we have achieved 1,880 for the year, does it mean, Chair, in Q4 we have only done the 84, and then in the other 1 to 3 quarters we have done 1,800? It doesn't seem correct, Chair. 1,800 in 1, 2, and 3 for those 3 quarters, and only 84 in Q4. I'm not even sure what the target was in Q4 because the actual output was 84. The same when it comes to 4.4, Chair. So one, Chair, is that for me the template is a bit problematic. in other quarters, you will find there's a annual target, there's a quarter target, and there's a quarter output. Yeah, you don't get it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Member. Member Mare?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I note the very comprehensive questions by my colleagues, but mine is short and sweet. I would just like to know from the department side, what did they feel were the contributing factors towards the improvement in their audit findings, particularly noting that they have received now this unqualified audit with findings? What were, to summarize, the contributing factors towards the improvement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think from me, the first thing it will be, and I do understand the comments made by Mr. Nkosi in trying to make us understand the way there is a underperformance. But I want to find out, I mean, when you set the target, before even you set the target, there need to be a diagnostic assessment tool that you use so that you can have a rationale of setting up the targets, because somewhere you overachieve, the department overachieves, somewhere it under performs. So there must be an assessment, and I want to find out if you have a diagnostic assessment tool for like for example, the capacity within the municipalities. And if I have to do like the ecosystem idea of my question, it will be, when you engage, you achieved in engaging with the municipalities. And that means when you engage, you can identify the shortcomings. So you will have a solution as we engage with municipalities. And that's my take, that maybe it might be I'm wrong, and then you'll correct me. Then when you go to a municipality, you give the support or technical support that is needed in that municipality. And that is based on your APP, what you are in developing, not set on APP per se, in developing your APP, because you know what is it that you have set the targets on, and what is it that you want to achieve in a municipality within the province. Now, if you underperform and you said it's because of the capacity in the municipalities, what support did you give those municipalities? Because the reason for the support is for you to achieve. Now, if you achieved interaction, but you underperforms and you go back and say the municipality's underperformance, somehow it doesn't align. So just for us to have an understanding. And also, in not achieving on for example, on the engineering, I know the Department of Human Settlements, you have the metrics that you have to, the municipalities have to fall into those metrics for you to be able to say, okay, this financial year, the projects that we are going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you have the metrics of the engineering, or you've got the metrics for whatever, what are the shortcomings? Because yes, there are challenges of the mafia's construction, the mafia constructions. So do you want, or can you confirm that all the underperformance that is there is because of those extortions and the mafias with their performance, whether being upgrading of the informal settlement or blah, blah, blah. And I'm not taking away the issue of the NUSP of the national. That also, it's questionable that if you set to yourself a target of about 50, if I can remember off my head, a 50, but you still are going to engage with the national to make sure that you have an understanding for you to achieve the target that you set. Who says the target? Isn't you for yourself, or is it national? If you're still going to engage, you can't put the 50, because that is going to fall within the underperformance, because again, it falls back on the rationale behind your targets, because goes extreme, overachieving, and also down. So what is it that is the driver in setting the targets for the department for the human settlements then? Because I think now maybe it will be different. And maybe the other one, it will be, I want to check on the slide, that is what, on the title deeds here. And I remember Maran touched on it. Now, also the figures, I want to understand that if you said the target of the 10,000, because where I saw the target is 10,000, if I can do 1 + 1 still nicely so, without a calculator, I didn't use it. So don't hold me on that one. So if you set a target on 10,000, surely there's a reason why you set up the target. And we engaged with Beaufort municipality, Langsbeck municipality, with the Standing Committee of Local Government. And that municipality, again, they complained about the issue of the title deeds. They talked again, for example, about the bucket system. And when we talked about the grant that the department has, it was like news to them. So also, I'm just giving the example of, I know we've been talking about this and you say you are informing the municipalities, and I know you inform them, but surely something is not aligned. And I don't know, that is why it goes back to the diagnostic assessment tool in different municipalities. How do we align? Because we are talking about, unfortunately, because I've been there since 2014, I hear one and the same, I hear again, repeat problems that have been in the human settlements. And how do we go about, because that's what we're talking to the municipalities, how do we go about not to, just to make sure that we are sane and not insane in trying to hear if there is something that is different that we can do? Because if we talk about one and the same problems when we do the annual reports, and that means something is not okay with us, surely we have to do things different. So if I can get that, and with all what the members can say, I don't know who's going to respond. First, it's the minister first, and then the department, they'll continue. Over to you, Minister.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I've never been one to shy away from accountability, because as the executive authority, I'm held accountable in the legislature, and my HOD and the DDG and the team are held accountable also, but on the administration side. So I will touch base on some of the governance questions which you have asked. Then all the rest in terms of the administrative components, I will hand over to DDG Skierman, ultimately then to pass on as she sees fit, given the program that we talked to. Madam Chair, first of all, I do welcome all the new members and their questions. I will therefore respond to Member Seleko's question regarding the municipality's role. And once again, this relates, Chairperson, also to your question of municipal capacity. Madam Chair, in 2021, we had local government elections. I will only focus on the council part, because where there's a stable council that has a sturdy hand over the oversight role, but also the implementation role, taking note that 60% of the human settlements processes are devolved and stuck for approval at council level. So when you have a stable municipality, and there are quite a number of them, whether they are governed outright by a singular party or by a stable coalition government, you do see progress in terms of our human settlements process. Hence, we do our outreaches twice a year. With DDG Skierman, it's even more now, to ensure that, we give clear guidance on the process, but also building up to even our adjustment appropriation cycle and where business plans needs to be amended. The problem for us from a governance perspective, Honourable Chair and members, is where you have unstable municipalities, where you have councils that take decisions without recognizing the historical role of the human settlement process. And I'll use 3 practical examples, which even you have been confronted with. Theewaterskloof, good example. an incompetent administration, an even more incompetent coalition governance in Theewaterskloof that literally tried to re-engineer the entire human settlement process after they took over governance. That has major knock-on effects in terms of our planning. Beaufort West, once again, complete utter incompetence on the council side and on the administration side. Once again, I do take note of other standing committees and their duties and work there because it does marry and intertwine with what human settlements are dependent on in terms of local government. Neisner, another good example, Honourable Chair. And I can go on and on and on. So the municipal role where there's sound governance and competent appointees in the administration, you will not see us addressing the issue of a lack of skills. Certain municipalities have been led over many, many years by a pariah form of state capturing at local government level. And sadly, human settlements, because of the access to resources, the access to tenders, the access to jobs for pals, Madam Chair, that has seen a massive knock-on effect in certain municipalities that their process conclusion in terms of what we need from them cannot be done. Where we have tried to intervene and assist because we do recognize them as our partner. Madam Chair, it's if you have a willing partner that's willing to listen, that don't think they know everything, but actually they know, and with all due respect, know nothing, then you will not see the impact of our interventions being successful. Once again, Theewaterskloof is a very good example. Beaufort West is a very good example. Neisner is a very, very good example. Where certain things move forward and certain things cannot. In terms of the Honourable Member Maran, once again, from the governance perspective, if you look at us preparing for today's session, I sit here with a copy of my APP, also the previous year's APP in preparation for the session, Honourable Member, and Madam Chair, to ensure that the reporting template which we table with you is quite understandable because it feeds into information which you get from us earlier in this year. But now to key policy matters, Madam Chair. I do agree with some of the comments made by Member Maran, made by yourself as well. This focuses on program 3 and 4, but within the realistic service delivery realities which I'm confronted with as the executive authority and my HOD and DDG and our team is confronted with. In terms of FLISP, this committee should note that we started focusing on affordable housing in 2020. Our targets were very low. I agreed with a focus on affordable housing to shift our targets upwards. We are the province that leads the delivery in terms of FLISP, even with certain policy changes only taking effect in the third quarter of this financial year we're reflecting on. But yet, like I said, we are the man in the arena. We've punched above our weight. Many a times we are asked to assist with writing those frameworks for national, assisting them with providing clarity on how implementation will work. So as much as we might not have accomplished our overall annual target, if you look at our quarterly target, I think we've done exceptionally well, given that some of the interventions which we successfully lobbied for only kicked in the latter part of the second quarter, phasing into the third quarter. So I think we've done exceptionally well, given the fiscal environment due to more than 30 years or close to 30 years of incompetent national governance and its impact on the fiscal environment, which sadly affects our industry, affects our sector, affects the consumer who we want to help. But with more stringent access to finance, what more can we do? In terms of BNG units, Madam Chair, once again, 60% of our processes are stuck at local government level. When certain things don't happen, when plans are not signed off, when certain things are not approved by a council, that is the reality that we must deal with. That is the reality that we confront. That is why I engage mayors. The DDG, when she was now the former HOD of Human Settlements, engaged municipal managers. But once again, I'll take Theewaterskloof as a very good example. How many municipal managers have they had over the last 2 years? How many human settlements managers have they had who are actually competent and qualified over the last 2 years, even for the quarter that we are reflecting upon? How can you address that? In terms of service sites, same issue, Madam Chair. Supply chain processes are sometimes done through local government. Once again, I'll use Theewaterskloof, Beaufort West, nice good examples. When you have utter incompetence in supply chain processes, and councils do not want to take resolutions for province to assist them, like Bito municipality did 1 financial year ago. What more can we do? It will have an impact on your delivery of service sites because they want their access to funds. They want access to that resources for cadre enrichment, for selective employment. And you know all the examples I can use linked to all of that. Then indicator 3.6, phase 3, upgrading informal settlements. Once again, before an incorrect narrative finds its way into the public domain after the session, we are the only province which is actually at phase 3. Other provinces are lagging behind, but I've always said I do not compare our province to the 8 other provinces. But what we managed to accomplish, Madam Chair, is within these very difficult circumstances, which is finding itself and playing itself out at local government level. Then we go to program 4, Madam Chair, which you also touched on in terms of title deeds, which concerns all 9 provinces, which concerns the national minister. Because what we are confronted with, Madam Chair, if you look at the cycles, the pre-2014, post-2014, and post-2019, when a municipality cannot trace the original beneficiary, you are stuck with a problem. How do you naturalize an illegal sale? How do you naturalize a house that has been sold 10 times in 7 years? How do you do that? But once again, once a project is complete, the municipality has certain responsibilities, where in the past, even in the present, we do try to assist them with. And in quarter 4, certain current interventions has seen, and I'll use George as an example, Madam Chair, where title deeds was given on the same day of occupation, the first time in the history of any project in this province, let alone, I believe, in the country. So we have introduced solutions moving forward, but you can't repair what has been broken in the past. You can't trace some of these people. Some of them are not even in our province anymore. Some of them passed away without having put in place, a last will and testimony. That is the realities which we are confronted with. And it's easy to be the one who's not in the arena. It's easy to be the one that does not understand the living reality of our people on the ground, but who's quick to want to pack low punches. But this is the reality that we deal with from a governance perspective. And I have lobbied the national minister to say, how do we deal with these backlogs? Otherwise, as a sector, not just the Western Cape, all 9 provinces, we will never be able to reach our targets because of the behavior of the beneficiaries that impact on our own targets, Madam Chair. I'm giving you this full complementary overview in terms of title deeds because the cornerstone of this provincial government and this provincial department is to ensure security of tenure. But the historical data is not easy to work with, Madam Chair, because you can't trace those people. You can't find some of them even anymore. And that is the difficulty where we are stuck with in terms of the title deed backlog as a province, but I believe also as a nation. And it's how do you naturalize what has permutated itself over the last decade and more. And that is why you need a competent municipal administration. And you need a competent municipal council, irrespective of who governs it in coalition or outright. But when there's 2 levels of incompetencies, we can also not address the issue of title deeds. We can also not force them to accept our assistance, because sadly, Madam Chair, and I'll finish off with this before I hand over to DG Schierman, where there's political immaturity, and that is the reality which we all face with as we sit here today as members of the legislature. If there's not mature political will, then we will never be able to resolve some of these issues. And it's time that people realize when you put your hand up to serve, you serve half of the local government level. You are there to serve everybody, not just those that carry your T-shirt or carry your card. And that's the problem where we have dysfunctional and downright incompetent local municipalities and councils that impact on our delivery. With that, I will hand over to DG Schierman. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you, Minister. I'm going to do some brief inputs, and then there are members of the team that I'm also going to ask to provide a brief additional information. If I can just start with the audit findings and what was done differently this year. We've improved internal controls. The acting director, for the first time in the department, we workshopped the prior year's management report, and this was the first time it was done in the department. We had a governance action plan that we've workshopped and put in place with management, and made sure that management bought into the required actions. We had an amended SOPs on internal control. We had amended SOPs on internal controls, and the information and files were already available. The audit team was clear on what they were asking for. In fact, we reduced, during this audit process, we reduced our COMAFs from about 45 COMAFs to about 28 COMAFs during this audit process. So for me, when I look at the improved internal controls, we also, and we look at how the process was concluded, we were in a much better position than the previous year, as the Minister said. With regard to the setting, to the indicators that was originally set for the 5 years, as part of the 5-year strategic plan, coming into the first year of the 2019-2020 financial year. Those indicators and targets were set very high. And coming out of 1920, 2021, 22, the targets were not then matched to what was actual performance, but was continued to be set at the high bar that was originally in the onset of going into these 5 years. So if you look at actual performance, Chairperson, in the last 3 years versus the continued high targets that were set in the 8 annual performance plans, there is a huge gap when you look at the high targets that were set and what was not met. Going into the 23-24 financial year, we've attempted to address this by making the target settings more realistic to current circumstances. The targets, the indicators, and what is being reviewed going into the next 5 years, we must also take cognizance, especially what is within the department's control and what is not within the department's control. Title deeds is one such example, and it has to be reviewed in terms of national. When you look at title deeds, in all provinces, there's huge underperformance because of the exact problems that the Minister has outlined. And in terms of the underdelivery, the findings for this department is one of not having completeness for Q4 for title deeds. And it is similar in all other provinces, and it is based on the AG determining that the housing subsidy system is not reliable with regards to transfer information. Then, in terms of municipal engagements, as the Minister's indicated, we have spent a considerable amount of time with each municipality in the last few months, and there is a process to the municipalities applying, whether it is for planning funding or implementation funding from the national grants. There is a process. What we've done to improve and enhance that process, we met with each of the municipalities in February this year, and we did a second round of engagements in July this year to inform the adjusted business process. That information is then tabled in our internal GARC, which is a Grant Allocation Advisory Committee. In the last 2 weeks, we've completed our GARC sittings, and for the first time, the point of departure in those GARC sittings were the minuted action notes from each of the municipal engagements was tabled and considered as part of GARC sittings, together with what the regions then present. So in terms of tightening the gap, we now have on record what the municipalities are asking for. That has been tabled in our advisory committee meetings, and the decisions that are made are there to help and support the municipalities. A lot of energy has been spent on this, and we are looking at improving it even more as we go forward. I'm going to ask the following staff members to give brief inputs. David Ali on support to municipalities, Roy Stewart on the title deeds, Gavin Wiseman on affordable housing, and Benjamin, if you can briefly comment on the diagnostics and the metrics that the chairperson has asked for. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, you can continue.
Good morning, Chairperson. I was speaking to the capacity provided to municipality across the province. So far, the year under review, we've provided support to all the municipalities, including City of Cape Town and Garden Roads. So in terms of our capacity support provided to municipality, we look at different needs of different municipality. Some require project packaging assistance, we assist them. Some require planning assistance, we assist them. Some of them actually require strategic support in terms of guidance of what to do when they are faced with their backlog. A typical example that I'll give to you is Matikama. We assisted them because they don't have capacity to package their application to the department. We assisted them in packaging application, and various other municipalities like that, we've provided assistance in that regards. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. It's Gavin Wiseman, Affordable Housing. If there are specific questions, I can certainly take those, but I think just the general observation is within the FLISP space is what we found is with the significant increase in interest rates over this last period, there's a tremendous pressure, growing pressure on that affordable markets, with growing challenges with affordability as well as credit scores, folk finding not being able to access the relevant end user finance. And I think that's where we've seen the benefit of the deferred ownership pilot that's been running Cape Agulhas, where that is providing a significant aid to folk in that category. And that's just one of the initiatives that Minister was referencing as well in his comment, in terms of the affordable housing space. Also was mentioned around the APP, where we've always had a good relationship with the financial institutions through the banking forum. But as I said, now there's been a pushback from the institutions and us really wanting to work through BASA. And we've had a number of deliberations with BASA now, where we in fact presented at the Affordable Committee that sits quarterly, and we presented at that committee and engaged directly with BASA. So those are the initiatives that we are trying in every sphere to be innovative and unlock as much and crowd in as much private sector assistance as we can into the market. And there are a number of other exciting initiatives we're pioneering, again, within the affordable space, even sort of looking at an incremental model, tying that to small scale rental, and just trying to see how we can unlock the state investment and leverage that as best possible within the affordable housing space. So perhaps if there are further direct questions, I can also then respond to that in a further round. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. And is there another question that still need to be responded to? Benjamin? Okay.
Chairperson Joyce Stewart here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to touch upon good morning to you, the members and the Minister and our colleagues. Much has been said about the title deeds between Minister and the DDG. And I think just to tie together, it is important to emphasize the point that the Western Cape government is the title deed coordinators. We are not responsible directly for the implementation of title deeds, but we coordinate between national and ourselves. The bulk of the title deeds are at municipalities. And the difficulty that we experience is, in the context of what ministers articulated, is that we navigate between national and the municipalities. And at both ends, at national, as ministers indicated, there's a lack of direction. I don't want to delve into the deep history of this, but I think the program could have been designed much better to give more direction to provinces Now we sit with an issue that all provinces have similar issues. The problem we experience with municipalities, the capacity issue, is that as National has seen this is not a conveyancing process, primarily a conveyancing transfer, but it's, as Ministers also indicated, it's a beneficiary administration. It's the beneficiary that finds him or herself in a dwelling, trying to trace themselves, searching for a title deed. In many instances, they are either been illegal, they've been deceased, or documentation has just gone missing. And we are still waiting on National to provide leadership and guidance in terms of the contested title deeds, which is quite pervasive in this space. So we've done much work in our space. We've developed, Minister signed off in April last year, a title deed action plan. It has been difficult due to the COE, a cut in COE. It has been difficult. We have eventually now appointed a program manager by the end of June, and significant work has been done. So to date, we've consolidated all the business plans for the municipalities going forward. We have set up monthly meetings with the municipalities to carry them. And we are also, we've had consultations with our CFO in terms of providing necessary support in terms of professional resource teams to assist those municipalities, such as town planners to do township establishment. That's where we're going to, and we're quite positive going forward. But as the DDG has also indicated, that it is best to start from a base where it aligns to your current resources. National has always come to all that you hear from them is that this must be aligned to the MTF period of the president, and we now have to deliver. That's all they're expecting, delivery. But when we bring the issues and dynamic to them, there is very, very little support that we get to them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions that I can?
Chair Benjamin,
Yeah, Benjamin, yes.
You asked a question about the diagnostic tool when we're setting our targets. We indeed follow a rigorous process when we set our targets. We take into account previous performance. We take into account what has been set for MTSF deliverables. We engage with all stakeholders, particularly in those areas where we'll be setting targets. The challenge it's when you practically have to execute that which needs to be executed. That's where you'll find maybe one partner not necessarily pulling, like colleagues were speaking about title deeds and all those issues. You would want municipalities to play a particular role for you to be able to conclude your process. And that's where you'll find a situation like that coming to or contributing to some underperformance. The other issue is we've got indicators that will come as, and I'm saying technically as prescribed indicators, because they'll be saying for this particular resource we're giving to provinces, these are the areas that we'll be judging you against. So you put those into the, but our processes as a province, we conclude our APP around February, we table before yourselves around that time, so that at the start of the financial year, you've got an APP in force. But you'll find that certain processes dictated upon by National will kick in very much later. And would have said the targets would have come to you, you would have agreed with us. For us to come back to you and say, we now want to reduce the target, it's a tedious process, because in terms of the legislation, you can only change your targets under very strict circumstances. At the point when we thought of the targets, we would have looked at our own situation, would have looked at our own means, and would be saying 50 is doable. We can do 50. This is our understanding. But when National engages you, when the APP shall have been tabled and processes have started, and they say rejig that, rejig this, you always say you will be able to run with the process, but you'll find that later that kind of late engagement with National has an impact on these things. But we do have a process that is rigorous. we follow when we set our APP. Maybe just also commenting on the other questions which were asked in terms of the template not showing targets for Q4. Our apologies. We wanted to make it reader friendly. We did not want to complicate other things, but it's information that can be availed at any point. It is in the APP. You can bring it to a template like this when we report to your good selves, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roy.
Chair, my apologies. I was just reminded that there's still an outstanding question on the rental units. Chair, you would recall that we had a site visit in Paarl, Drakensberg. We still have a block of units left there, but that was as part of the 24-25. It was an indicator for 24-25, but as Mr. Nkosi has indicated, that has been removed. So once we have now finalized the Stellenbosch, we will now, that's the last one that is outside the metropole. With respect to the units in the metropole, we have offered the rental units to the City of Cape Town. They have written back in terms of the Act. They have indicated that they do not have the capacity, and that will then formally be presented to the Minister. National is adamant that they must take it, but we will deal with it in terms of the Act and our processes here. So we will take into consideration what the reasons are. But to respond to Member Maran, there's nothing outside Cape Town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the last of the question. Maybe I don't see any hand. If I can find out on the studies, the evaluation study of the housing needs versus beneficiary. Maybe if we can get that study, we'll appreciate it. It will be interesting to see what do you have in there. And Member Maran, I recognize you.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks for the responses by the officials. I'm not sure whether I should say thanks to the response by the MEC, because it's more political, because there are specific reasons why touch on TWK, Beaufort West and Knysna. And those are only 3 municipalities out of 30 in the Western Cape. And if I understand the MEC correctly, the underachievements is attributed to those 3 municipalities and not the other 27 within the provinces. It doesn't make sense. Chair, my question on the pre-2014, and I haven't get the answer, and maybe someone will say, but you don't like the answer that we gave, is that in Q4, only 84. That's what I've said previously. And for the rest of the year, under discussion, there was a 1,800, which gives you an average of 600. And maybe, Chair, if the explanation was, or the answer was that why we have achieved so much under the first 3 quarters and only 84 in the last quarter was because we have done things different and only 84 in the last quarter. Chair, because we have done so much in the previous 3 quarters to achieve 1,800 and only 84 in the last quarter. So, Chair, and also the others that I've previously mentioned, your first 364 out of 2,000. And we have heard now the explanation, but it's fine. The same with the service sites, the same with your target of 6 informal settlements and only 1 in the 4th quarter, and that's the only one for the last quarter, Chair. So yeah, Let me leave it there.
Thank you very much, Member. Member De Villiers, I'm with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Only a few, I think it's just for clarity. The first thing is that I would love to get the reports from the research reports, so that we can run through it and just get ourselves up to speed. Most of our targets not reached is worrying to me, that it is all based on service delivery. We heard what some of the members were saying and officials were saying, and the one thing that I would love to know is that, because we know who and where our problems lies, and we're shifting the blames and blaming municipalities and how they delay the process. We can't allow the people to suffer because of what we heard as capacity, which I don't understand, because they never said what is the capacity challenges. But because of the capacity challenges and because of municipalities who's incompetent, we should sit down and we should write, for this province, we should write a kind of rules and regulations, where if they don't comply with this, then this or the others, or we won't supply them again, or we won't be there to help them. But we can't allow the people to suffer because of incompetent people who are sitting in and who's been voted in by some people. So what I would love, for especially the committee, the whatever, if they again come across these kind of challenges, to write a comprehensive report to those municipalities, to tell them what and to tell them what not going to be tolerated going forward, and how they're going to be excluded if they don't comply with service delivery, because we've been held responsible to deliver and to see that the people has been serviced. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to the department, and I don't know if Minister wants to respond first, and then Labika, you will guide me who's going to respond.
Thank you. Okay, Minister.
Now, Madam Chair, I'll be quick. Once again, I make practical examples. I do highlight where we have issues. Those three municipalities definitely do not break the camel's back in terms of our overall targets, but people are elected, just like we are elected. So that is not a political stance, that is the reality. Madam Chair, but I do welcome the other questions. Thank you.
Member Maran. Member Maran.
Okay.
Mute yourself. Thank you very much.
Chairperson, just briefly from my side, if you look at the reduced delivery, there's multiple issues, both internal and external, and that is why I want to emphasize the review that we are undergoing of the indicators, and what we need to focus on is what is within the department's control in terms of achieving. Also, this department, because it's between the three spheres of government and its national grant funding, as you know, that we access, the coordination between the three spheres of government is critical, and that is the part that we have really focused on in the last 6 months and improved, and not through conversations, but there's formal correspondence that is now documented. There's minutes of meetings with the Munichs when they say that they're going to do X, Y, and Z on the project, that is now fed into our internal GARC processes. One of the things that I've also experienced with the team is that some projects have been on the pipeline and on the national business plan over a number of years, and there's no movement. So part of this process of improving engagements with the municipalities is also now making the decisions with the municipalities. If a project has been on the pipeline for 3 or 4, 5 years, sometimes longer, and there is not going to be movement, then we need to actually remove it from the business plan, because it is not helpful to the municipality nor to the department in terms of national grant funding to keep it on the business plan. And so part of the process of going into 24-25 financial year is to remove the projects from the business plan that are completely blocked and put them below the line, and to make sure incapacitating the municipalities that the projects are implementation ready, so there is delivery within that financial year, and not the rollovers or under expenditure, because projects are sitting there for 5 to 6 to 7 years. One of the key constraints experienced across all municipalities are bulk services, and that there is no funding for bulks. And so that is part of what we are looking at, how to unblock going forward. Because if you start addressing electrification and bulk services, then you can also start unblocking so much more in terms of service sites and in terms of top structures. The comment that I want to make on the capacity of the municipalities, there are a few examples of municipalities in the past few months where they have improved capacity and working with the provincial government, with this department in terms of capacity. But there are still some municipalities that are struggling and lagging behind. So it is not all equal. The playing field is not equal in terms of municipality capacity and in terms of what needs to be implemented within that municipality. And when we do our responses, you actually have to look at the projects sitting in the municipality, within those municipalities, and why they are blocked, because it is not a one-size-fits-all answer for the municipalities. I think those are the main points that I want to make, Chairperson. I'm not sure if you want to have us to answer any additional questions.
No, I think you have answered all the questions. The only thing, maybe if I can, on your behalf, ask Member de Villiers of the researching documents or the studies, which one, if you can be specific to say which ones would he love to receive, besides the one that I mentioned about the evaluation studies for the housing need versus beneficiaries that you said you had, that you would love to receive that. Member de Villiers, can you give clarity of which ones?
The one about housing, I think, yeah. I didn't dot it down on the slide. There was 3. The first one.
Okay, it might be we're talking about one and the same one of it was the 3, the target was the 3 for evaluation studies, and 1 was concluded. So that's the one that will be available. I'm going to take it that that's the same one that Member de Villiers is saying. Okay.
Thank you,
okay,
Madam.
perfect. All right. Members, any other questions? I don't see any hand. I think I need to thank the department and Minister, and highlight it's one of the human settlement has been one of the difficult portfolios, because it's like it in itself it has the moving targets for you to achieve, and the dependency is the well-running oil machines, which is the municipalities now. And if that is not working, it becomes a challenge of how can you go an extra mile to assist. But we also, on another side, have to acknowledge that the municipalities, they do try. We mustn't take, there are municipalities that are trying very hard, but the challenges that you identify also, they are facing them, especially coming to the title deeds. But before I let all of you to go, the question that I can ask the department maybe to think about, or if they would love to comment, they can comment. You have the houses that have been built after 1994, and they are with the backlog. It says that there are some families that haven't received the title deeds. And then I'm saying families because doesn't mean those are the initial beneficiaries, but there are families that have been there for more than 20 years, of which if the A municipality have to say they have to move somewhere, that means you have to give them the alternate place to stay. Automatically, it can be those I don't know if there's a law, that's where you come in, that can empower them to be the beneficiaries of those houses that they're staying in, or if there's any law that is against that, that will have to see to it. But as we engage with the municipalities minister and the HOD and the DG, is the municipality says that is the challenge that they do have. And they don't have anything that is empowering them to can take a decision of, we know this family, the community know this family that is in there. Although they are not the listed beneficiaries, but they've been staying in those houses for more than 10 years, more than 15 years, more than 20 years. So how do we go about to say those people have to move out? Or how do we go about to have something that it can be the title deeds when they come, those families are the ones that have to benefit. So we have to look at that to say, how do we go about if there needs to be in making sure that maybe there can be a proposal on the legislation to be amended for those families that have been living in those houses for a very long time to have the title deeds, because we always, as we engage, we don't have answers as a standing committee. And even if you can read to say what can empower municipalities, we always don't have those answers they would love to see. Or they would love to hear from us. So please look at that. It's one of the concerns that we do have. Again, another concern of the political will in the municipalities, it plays an important role. And the third one, it will be, when Langeberg received, I think there was a complaint when Langeberg was saying that they got only 2 million. And the response from the department was the issue of the matrix. So the issue of Mr. Man, of the matrix in the municipalities, I think that's been going on for a very long time. That is why, as the department, as the standing committee, we are asking the issue of when you choose the projects, it's not you that is choosing all the time. You follow the matrix, that the readiness of the municipality, because the matrix, it comes from national. It talks to the readiness of the municipality for the implementation of the project, of which one of the things is the infrastructure, the bulk infrastructure in those municipalities. So that is what we have been having an understanding on for a very long time, that when you identify a municipality to receive the project or you approve the project, already it's ready, it has the bulk services, and so the delay won't happen that much unless the capacity, or like Minister mentioned, of the supply chain management. And when you identify a municipality that have those challenges, surely is where you have to jump in, because also you have the target and you allocated the money that it's service delivery. It's what we want the department to do. So those are the concerns that when we did the dignity oversight running through the municipality, are the things that were coming up again and again and again in each and every municipality. And they'll say, no, the title deed is not ours, it's the department that has to do that. And we know that is not the case. So let's try to, again, engage, as we set the targets, to make sure that those municipalities, at least we can see a change, of which is difficult. I don't know how, because all the time you will engage with this. group, and then after they go in that group. But on another hand, the officials, most of officials have been working in the municipalities for more than 10 years. And I'm talking about the junior officials, not the senior, of which we have.
Okay.
That will be appreciated if those of the junior that always they are there longer, they stay longer, that we have to an extra mile go to the junior, not engage with the seniors only for your strides to be seen as you make them within municipalities and imparting the information. With that being said, last word, Minister, before I release you or Labika.
Madam Chair, just from my side, thank you very much to you and the Standing Committee. I think it's been a very robust session. I believe we've answered all the questions as transparently and as informatively as possible. I do concur with your observation regarding those that have been living in BNG units for many, many years without being the proper beneficiaries. And I do believe that will require a change in the Housing Act, noting that, we do have a sales agreement with seemingly beneficiaries that either do not exist or have moved away and have sold those houses illegally, which is, I think, where we are stuck at. And how do you naturalize the current inhabitants? Because ultimately they will also need to qualify in terms of the current housing regulations. Hence, I do believe we do require a change in the Housing Act, Madam Chair. And just as a closing set of data for you, the city of Cape Town is a good example. Have 11,000 identified illegal occupants. Illegal in terms of that they are not the original beneficiaries. They have been living there for more than a decade. And how do you naturalize them? Because ownership unlocks so much opportunities for our people. And I think, as you rightfully said it, this portfolio is not an easy one, given the circumstances we work under, given the community dynamics that we need to function within, but above all, how we all work together to realize and reshape and address the injustices of the past, which is ownership. We're also ensuring that people live a dignified life. And I use the word people in terms of those who qualify, not those who illegally seek to jump the queue or those who illegally seek to take an opportunity from those who legally have been waiting and have been following the due processes of the law. So once again, thank you, Madam Chair, and this has been a very enjoyable engagement with the Standing Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think I can release you. And it was really, really a robust engagement, which we appreciate. So have a fantastic Friday. Don't fry a lot. Try to rest. It has been a very rough week. So have a fantastic day. Members, are you going to grab a cup of coffee or we continue with our agenda?
Coffee, please, Chair.
Okay. What time is it? It's 11:05. So can we make it what time, Kayla?
Chair, 5 past now. Maybe we come back in 10 minutes.
Members, do you need 10 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, so 10 past?
Yes.
Kayla?
No, 10 minutes, Chair. I'll support Kayla. 10 minutes.
Thank you,
Pen
Member.
must wait. Yeah, 10
Okay,
minutes.
Member de Villiers, you are a decider. I've got 2:10 and I've got
Ma'am,
2:10
let's go.
and 1:05.
Let's go for 10 minutes because I don't have electricity here. I can make my water. I can boil my water on a stove only.
Okay, Member
On a gas
Maran.
stove.
No,
Member
Chair, I think
Maran.
you will be a quorum without me.
No, we have the resolutions. We have.
Nope.
You are a full member of the standing committee, and I don't think the break of 10 minutes, of which already, as we speak, we have tapped into that 10 minutes, member. So you don't have to worry that much. Eventually, we will be here. So members, let's come back. 1:15, please. But if you make your coffee Okay, members, the minutes of the 28th of July. You can continue. Members that were present was Member Maseko. Was Member Mari there?
Okay, just to check, what did we do on this day?
No, you were there. I just checked. I was checking if you were available. We're doing with the negotiating mandate. It was the Friday of the negotiating mandate of the housing
Yes, Chair, I
consumer
was there.
protection bill. Yeah, I know. Continue. She was there. I know. I just wanted to check if she's there.
Always testing me, Chair.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciated, my member. Is it me, Msiko Kambala? You have the spelling right? Okay, members, any mover and a shaker or amendments?
I propose.
Okay, thank you very much, Member Mary. As a shaker? Who seconds the support?
I second,
Members?
Chair. Member
Okay.
Saleko, thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Seleku. And next is the 31st. Members, is the morning where we had to finalize. And members that were there. Okay, members. The mover and the shaker.
Sorry,
I
Chair,
so
can we
move, Chair.
just...
Okay. Member Seleku and seconder Member Mara. Thank you very much, members. So now we continue with the resolutions. I'll go in line as per my laptop. Member De Villiers already talked to the housing need versus beneficiary, the evaluation study. If we can get that document. Any other resolution, member?
Not from me, Chair.
Okay.
Not for me also, Chair.
Thank you. Member Seleku.
No, Chair, I really don't know how one can actually try to assist where one can as a committee to make sure that where municipalities are really failing in terms of what is expected from them, that we actually be, the mediator or try to assist where we can. I'm also saying this, Chair, being cognizant in terms of that election comes and go, and people are going to be governing these municipalities for the next 5 years. And that should not actually stop us at looking at ways, so that we don't get tired. Because at the end of the day, the ones that should be benefiting out of, in terms of human settlements, must be the people. That we should actually try to make sure that where there is no synergy between the municipality and the department, that we are able to be, the buffer that brings them together, so that they do what is expected. If it needs to capacitate their departments in the municipal levels, that we give the necessary advice and assist them so that they can actually be able to deliver at the end of the day. And I think that's my whole take, Chair, in this whole thing, that we must look at ways how we can actually assist municipalities to make sure that they deliver in terms of their mandate. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, and we will look at the date of engaging with the department, as I proposed when we started, that we have to engage with them for them to unpack the APP for this financial year. But also we have to see if we can have a date, maybe my suggestion in dealing with it, before the budget. So towards the end of the year or early in the year, before the department, they finish with the budget. Those municipalities that they allocate their budget to for implementation of the projects. Maybe they can come and brief us about or give us the list of those municipalities so that we can engage. I don't know when will be the right time before they identify or immediately after they identify, before they finish up with their budget or when. But for us to be able maybe to add value is if we can identify the list as they approve. But now I've sort of seen the shortfall in the issue of how do you approve the municipality if you know it doesn't have the capacity, and when it doesn't perform, and then you say it's because of the capacity. You get what I mean? So I don't know the members if it makes sense to you.
Chair, I'm sorry, could you just unpack that again for me?
Okay, so we've got underperformance for the implementation of some of the projects, né? And the department says it's capacity in the municipalities. Now, as a standing committee, Member Seleku say we also have to see how can we add value in those municipalities to assist those municipalities. Okay, so that's the issue. Now I'm saying maybe if we can get the list of those municipalities that the department identified to allocate the budget for implementation of the projects, then it will help us to go and monitor or engage and assist way. But now, on another hand, I'm saying, how do you identify that municipality to say it must implement a project when you see it has shortcomings that won't happen? What is your responsibility in it as the department? So I'm trying to find out if we have to engage with the department to give us a list of the municipalities, when will be the right time?
Sure, Chair, I'm not sure.
Chair?
When?
Yeah.
No, I think one would have to maybe, like we are dealing now with the last quarter, Chair, and the department is going to a new is in their new financial year. I think what is important is that maybe we should have a list of all municipalities in the province who has not spent their, that had spent their grants to the maximum. And then by doing that and then able to zoom into it and look at the problems that has led for them not being able to utilize the grants in terms of in the financial year. And then once we have that, maybe we can just have a session with the department and say, these are the municipalities that are problematic. What measures or what avenues are you going to utilize to make sure that they move? It's the same as like dealing with audit outcomes. There are people that are regression for years and years, because it can never be acceptable that we would want to blame the political structure within a municipality for non-implementation, and we are folding our arms. We must be able to say, we've assisted you, you don't want to be assisted, and then we can throw our hands and say, no, was a but I think it's important that to give the performance of all municipalities in the province in terms of the housing allocations, how are they spending it, and maybe also, Chair, going forward, have some look at the business plans. Maybe they should come to us and say, okay, what is your human settlements plan for the next 5 years? What is it that you want to achieve? Do you speak to what the department wants to achieve, or what challenges are you experiencing? Because it wouldn't make sense for you to say that you are going to have about 30, social housing, and then you don't even have land. So how are you going to achieve that? So there's a lot of issues that we need to zoom into those human settlements, business plans from the different municipalities, so that make sure that it is doable. It's not just a plan, that is going to be approved, but we know we're not going to meet our targets. I think that's my take, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, Chair?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
Chair, I fully agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree with the Honourable Seleku, Chair. So so that we can get a clearer picture, because listening to the MEC, it seems it's only those 3 municipalities that's dragging the province down, who are failures. But so if you can get basically that picture, Chair, municipalities that failed basically to have spent either the full amounts or percentages of that amount, and how we're going to deal with that in moving forward. I fully agree with him.
Okay, thank you very much. Member de Villiers?
Chairperson, thank you so much. I just want to add something, if I may, because I don't want to make my colleague sound stupid. If the officials identify, they came with a report and they said there's capacity challenges. If they can define capacity challenges from each municipality, then we might just know what the capacity challenges is, and if that challenges fall within our capabilities to intervene or something like that. So it might just help us a bit if they come again with such a vague thing. I don't know if they use it just for a reason or for excuse, but if they come with something like that again, they must come tell us the detailed capacity challenge, please.
Okay. So it's very important. Thank you very much, member. It's quite that will be very nice to hear. So members, we do agree. We are going to request the department to list those municipalities that didn't use their allocation, and also list what are the challenges. So where they list the challenge of capacity, also they have to list what capacity has made that project not to be fully implemented. And that will be the engagement that we'll have to have with the department, the list and engagement interrogating the report, and also the municipalities, because if they say Beaufort, Beaufort has to be there to say they agree with that or they don't agree with it. So when it will be the right time for us to do that, before the annual report or after the annual report? Because annual report is starting just now. I think the dates, it's a little bit of a challenge. Member Kayla?
Thank you, Member Matlodi. After, please.
After
annual reports. It's going to be crazy now.
Yeah, okay. Members, are we in agreement?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, why do I feel like I'm talking to myself all the time? You see, when things happen this way, then I say we're going to meet in person because I get all your attention. So again, members, Chair. Are we in agreement?
It's the coffee.
Yes, we are in
Chair,
agreement, Chair.
Yes,
We
Chair.
are with you, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair.
I don't have to threaten you for you to respond to me seriously. Lizette, is that captured?
Yes, all good. Shamiz is back online. Her sound is back as well.
Okay. Shamiz, are you okay?
I'm good, Chairperson. I have 4 resolutions. I don't know whether you would like me to go through them quickly just to see if you have, if I've captured them all.
Okay, no, it's fine. We'll see them when we adopt them. I trust that you have captured all of them. And okay, members, we are going to Theewaterskloof, leaving on Sunday, and all that have indicated the taxi strike has been suspended. So hopefully Sunday there won't be any challenges. Any concern, any question from the members that have confirmed?
Define challenges, please, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm only joking.
for those that have confirmed that they will be going for the oversight. It has to do with that, or if there's anything else, Member de Villiers, I can listen to you then after Member Kayla.
I would just like Shamiz to send me a location that I can go straight there. I don't want to get lost because South Africa is big.
Okay, you are going to sleep over, Member, or you are not?
Yes, I'll be there Sunday, but I
Okay.
need a location to get there, please.
Okay, it's a Caledon. It's a Southern Sun. But we'll get the
Casino,
location.
just say Caledon Casino. No.
Oh,
It's a casino. Okay.
Where Caledon
Fine.
Casino is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Member Kayla, and then after Member Maran and in that
Thank
order.
you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to register my apologies for not being able to attend. I unfortunately have very long-standing constituency work on the day, but I would have loved to have joined you all. So my apologies for not being there.
No, it's okay, Member. That is noted. Member Maran?
Chair, no, I got a bit of flu, but I think I will be fine come Sunday. But even if I'm not fine, I will come. Otherwise, some meals will make me pay.
It's not Shemis, it's me. I will make you pay. Ask others. You will pay. You confirm, so you have to get a Benylin and a Vicks and everything that will make you to be up and running. Fill up your tank, the energy, and then come to an oversight. Member Seleku, I recognize you, sir.
Yeah, Chair, thank you very much. I will let you know the latest tomorrow afternoon of my availability for the oversight. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's one thing about democracy. Sometimes it's just, it has this way of being, there are people that loves to abuse that. But at the end, they appreciate democracy as we interpret it. So I'm going to do it this way as a chairperson. I'm the responsible accounting officer for the standing committee. Member Selek, we are going to be there. Don't call me. I'll see you where we are going to meet as the location will be sent. Member Mari, apologies come through a long time ago. Member Maran, you are going to be there. We'll buy you Vicks. And Member de Villiers, you are going to be there. We'll send you the location. With that being said, see you in Diewaterskloof. The meeting is adjourned. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you, Shemis. Thank you, Lizette, Candice, Siraj. You are very much appreciated.
Thank you, Chair.
And the meeting is
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair.
Thank
you, Chair.
Thank you.